What is the inverse of the function? We have f of x equals 9x squared minus 4 for when x is greater than or equal to 0. How am I going to find the inverse of the function with this domain restriction? I'm here with my teaching assistant Chloe for her latest cheat sheet notes. She wants you to know that when you are taking the inverse of a set of points, all you do is switch the x and the y around. If you are taking the inverse of a function, replace f of x with y, switch x and y around, solve for y, and then replace y with f to the negative 1 power of x. If you are looking at a graph and wondering if it's invertible, ask yourself, does it pass the horizontal line test? Now that we have Chloe's cheat sheet notes, let's go ahead and find the inverse of this function. First of all, when you're looking for an inverse of a function, she's told us to replace f of x with y. So I have my original equation, f of x equals 9x squared minus 4, and I'm going to replace that f of x with y. Her second step is to switch x and y around. So instead of y equals, it will become x equals. Instead of x squared, it's y squared. From here, she says to solve for y. So we have it as x equals. I need to move everything around onto the right side until it says y equals. So we will start by adding 4 to each side. When I do this, the 4's will cancel out on the right, and I get x plus 4 equals 9y squared. From here, I would divide by 9 on each side. 9's would cancel out on the right, and I would end up getting y squared equals 1 divided by 9x, 4 divided by 9. From here, I have to get rid of the square. To get rid of a square, you take the square root. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. The square root and the square will cancel out on the left. And on the right, we just have the square root of 1 over 9x plus 4 over 9. Remember, when you take a square root, you do get a positive or a negative. So we have two different functions here. So we have y equals positive square root of 1/9 x plus 4/9, and y equals negative square root of 1/9 x plus 4 over 9. Then her last step is to replace y with f to the negative 1 power of x. And that is our last step here. So which one is it? Do we want the positive or the negative? For this, what you would have to do is look at the graph. So this is a graph of 9x squared minus 4. But because we're looking for the domain restriction of only when x is greater than or equal to 0, when we're talking about x's, we are talking about the horizontal. X greater than 0 is right here. So everything to the right of this is the part we are looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and just write that part here. Just draw that part there. That is when f of x equals 9x squared minus 4 when x is greater than or equal to 0. Now, the other thing that they did not give us that we need to figure out is the range. Now, the range has to deal with y. So y is up and down. I can see that I have at this point negative 4. My graph is only above negative 4. It never goes below negative 4 on the y-axis. So I can write my range restriction as y greater than or equal to negative 4. So x goes to the right of 0 and y is above negative 4. Now, with this, my next step is I'm going to draw that y equals x or f of x equals x line. This is where we have a mirror image when we draw an inverse. So if I was going to draw the entire thing, plus or minus square root of 1/9x plus 4 over 9, it would look like this. The positive part, positive is the top, the negative one is the bottom of the x-axis. So if you graph positive square root of 1/9x plus 4 over 9, you would only get this top part. If you graph negative square root of 1/9x plus 4 over 9, you would get the bottom part. Now what you have to ask yourself is which one is the inverse, the positive or the negative? Remember, the inverse is when you fold across the dotted line, you get a mirror image. If I keep this bottom one and fold across the dotted line, they will not be mirror images of each other. If I keep the positive one and get rid of the negative one, this top line would be a mirror image of the purple line here. So I can go ahead and just write that one right there. So my f of negative 1 of x is equal to positive 1/9x plus 4 over 9. Now the other thing that you have to switch around are your x and your y. Notice I have x and I have a y. I still have an x and a y. My x was greater than or equal to 0. Now it's going to be y greater than or equal to 0. Instead of y being greater than or equal to -4, now my x is greater than or equal to -4. And if I looked at these domain and range restrictions on this orange line, x is greater than or equal to -4. Well, here's -4. X is the horizontal, and it is greater than that. Y greater than or equal to 0. Well, here is where y is greater than or equal to 0, and it goes above it. And that is exactly where my function is. So for my final answer on this one, I would write f to the -1 power of x equals positive square root of 19x plus 4/9, where x is greater than or equal to -4 and y is greater than or equal to 0.